All right, well, welcome to our Classworks Fall Virtual Summit. We're so excited to have you here. This is an interactive workshop that you are joining today, so you will want to go ahead and get logged into your Classworks account. This year, we'll be doing a virtual passport for you to win a $100 Amazon gift card. And the rules are really simple. Just check in at the beginning or the end of each session that you attend using the link that you see on the screen. Now, remember, you have to attend them live, and each session you attend will actually give you a new stamp on your virtual passport. So this is going to count towards another entry into the raffle. So the more sessions that you attend, the more stamps you're going to actually receive. And that means the more chances you have to win a $100 Amazon gift card. So if you have any questions about the passport system, feel free to ask us via chat and we'll answer them at the end of today's session.
Okay, great. Thanks, Simone.
Sure.
We want to welcome everyone here today. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to spend time with us. My name is Patty Taylor, and my partner in this presentation this morning is Jordan Ayers. And we are both curriculum and instructional specialists for Classworks. Again, as Simone mentioned, this is an interactive workshop, so make sure that you're logged into Classworks and you're ready to go. We'll have some time in the product in a minute. Okay, so today we will be discussing how to align instruction to support IEP goals and effectively monitor these goals.
In this workshop, we are going to give you practical tips on effectively using Classworks to support your IEP goals. Teachers and special education directors from all across the country ask this question: how do I tie my IEP goals into Classworks? And that was literally a question I had this morning. So let's talk about this.
Yeah, we hear that all the time, don't we, Jordan? Mm-hmm. Okay, so our objective is to use technology to balance meeting students' needs with setting and measuring student goals. So first, where do we start? Well, we want to set clear expectations. So set the stage for students to be able to know where to go when problems arise. This will help them feel in control. So, for example, what happens when there's an internet issue? Recording sessions is a great way students can access lessons when the internet is back up and running. So make sure that they understand their options when they can't log on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely right, Patty. And one big expectation is students being able to navigate Classworks. We always stress the importance of modeling in our training. Model how students access Classworks, how to work through a mini lesson, where to go for gameplay help, right? Taking the time for the basics in the beginning is going to build independence down the road. Also involve parents with these processes, right? Offer parents a resource guide that includes how to troubleshoot issues and provide support for their students. So on help.classworks.com, we have an entire section dedicated to just that, right? To keeping parents informed and how to offer them support. And Simone is going to put this in chat for us.
Yeah, thanks, Simone, for doing that. Absolutely. And all of these clear expectations tie into another big component, communication. Continue to keep families in the loop as well as students. And reports are great for this. We'll share reports and data throughout this training. Reporting offers that documentation, and it is the perfect vehicle to share student progress with your families. One of the most popular reports is not only for IEPs, but for communication, is our comprehensive student report. Y'all, this is a great report to share with parents to keep them in the loop on everything that their students been working on in Classworks. It includes instructional data as well as assessment data. This data builds as the year goes on and includes everything a student has worked on in Classworks. It really is the perfect snapshot of the student's performance. Mm-hmm. When thinking about parent communication, think about students who are in both the general education classroom and that special ed class. Are you and the gen ed teacher both using the same communication tool to talk to parents? Sorting through tons of messages can be very tricky for your parents. Consider using your learning management system or an LMS for all communication. Or perhaps email is preferred by your families. Make sure that everyone is on the same page to effectively communicate with parents. Streamline really is the name of the game here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can't stress that enough, how valuable the collaboration between the special education teacher is and the general education teacher, right? Not only in regards to what Patty was just discussing, what's the best way to communicate, right? Talking about asking questions such as, is everyone aware of what's happening in class? Does the general education teacher know about the specific IEP goals? Does the special education teacher know how the student is performing in class or what their struggles are, right? Make sure to set aside time to allow for collaboration, ensure that students are working on the skills that are just right for them. One great feature in Classworks is our student observations feature, right? And this helps everyone keep on the same page. These observations offer teachers, parents, and students insight into students' performance on both academic and behavioral goals. All throughout a child's day, teachers can contribute factual happenings. And it also shows up on the students' scores page, which you can access via the badges tab. This loads. And so down below, students have visibility, and which allows them to monitor and track their goals that they're working on. And this is great for PBIS and IEP goals as well. And then another opportunity for in-house communication is going to be our progress monitoring report. And this allows teacher-to-teacher communication. This is a great place to offer reflection on students' performance on their weekly probe and their intervention. Note anything that impacts the student's intervention, anything from teacher actions as they make changes to instruction based on data, to a student being ill on the day of assessment, which is noted here. These notes will be shown when running and printing this report. So this is great documentation for IEP goals or parent-teacher conferences.
Okay, yeah, and that's really helpful for teachers. So now that we've set the stage for student success, how else can Classworks help support your students with IEP goals? Let's break down our goals into skill goals and growth goals. Classworks instruction is going to be perfect for tracking skills. Reports, real-time data, all of that will provide all the documentation that you're going to need. Today, we're going to thoroughly discuss our instructional components and how they align to your students' goals. We're going to look at those specific examples of some of these goals so that you can see the flexibility we have with Classworks. We will focus on outcomes and how to monitor, and then how to document them. Some of the questions to remember are, what are you trying to measure? And what's going to be your evidence? Now, let's discuss skill IEP goals first. Here's an example of a math IEP goal. By the end of the IEP period, when given a second grade math standard, the student will count within 1,000 with a 90% accuracy in 3 out of the 4 opportunities. So let's look into custom instruction and how it's going to support this IEP goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our Classworks custom instruction is great for tracking skill-based IEP goals. Our custom instruction includes instructional units aligned to your state standards, and our units are composed of a mini lesson for direct instruction, engaging activities to apply that knowledge, such as games and comprehensive text, and end with a quick quiz for a mastery check. So to match a custom instruction to an IEP goal, you can actually search for the standard directly in Classworks. So here, living under the instruction tab, it's going to be this top section, that create new. And for this goal, I'm going to search what the goal that Patty just mentioned, second grade math standard. So here, I'm going to go to second grade. And now I can actually search count by, or count within 1,000. And all of these options populate that would are aligned to that standard. But this down here, I can hover over it, and this is exactly the standard I want. I can launch, and here I have 4 specific units that would work great for tracking that skill-specific IEP goal. And I also know that this is going to be really great for independent work because of that mini lesson, right? So students have that direct instructional piece. Now for evidence, you're going to run the assignment results report, and this lives via the classes tab. And here you're going to see the breakdown of all of the unit components, how much time was spent on each one, as well as the student mastered it or not. So great for thorough documentation.
It's great, Jordan. Thank you. Now let's look at tracking skills in a different way. You can use Classworks integrated reading to measure ELA skill goals. So here's an example of a reading IEP goal. By the end of the IEP period, when given a third grade nonfiction passage, the student will identify the main idea and provide at least 3 details related to the main idea with a 90% accuracy in 3 out of the 4 opportunities. So we see here that this sample IEP goal focuses on the ability to find the main idea of a text. And we know that this skill is critical for developing and improving reading comprehension. So to identify which passage to utilize for this ready IEP goal, you'll want to start with the standards document located in help.classworks.com. This report helps you determine which reading passage will best fit your goal. Here you see that the main idea is reinforced in this activity through question 2. Now, after you've selected your standard and your passage, this is what you'll see. Integrated reading consists of structured reading passages that have multiple choice questions and a constructed response question. Each passage has opportunities for students to annotate and take notes to thoroughly engage with the text. Also, when your students interact with the text by using these tools, they're able to put their learning into practice. So back to that original IEP goal. By using integrated reading tools, students can type the main idea in the sticky notes section, highlight the supporting details, and then answer comprehension questions to further meet that IEP goal.
This integrated reading passage covers a reading goal, but it also covers a writing goal since it ends in an open-ended response question. So let's check out this example. When given a writing prompt in 5 minutes, student will write a minimum of 44 correct word sequences using standard conventions, grammar and spelling, in 4 out of 5 trials. So you can use integrated reading, written responses as trials for your students' documentation and evidence for this goal. So as Patty just mentioned, there's multiple choice questions, but the last one is always going to be an extended response. So this is perfect for documentation and evidence. And also note here that you can draw a response, a student's response. A student can draw their response. And so if that's necessary for their IEP goal as well.
Yeah, that's great, Jordan. Now, let's take a look at the fluency IEP goal. Integrated reading fluency passages are an excellent way to document a fluency goal. Each passage has a separate fluency page to create a running record. Let's look at our sample IEP goal. When presented with a fluency passage based on a student's independent reading level, grade 3 for our example, student will improve the fluency rate to 80% correct, or 80 correct words, I should say, per minute, with no more than 5 errors in 4 out of the 5 trials. So for documentation for use with the integrated reading passages to check the student fluency at their reading level, right here where Jordan's showing you, you want to print these from the teacher resource box at the beginning of every reading passage. Calculate words per minute and accuracy percentage after each student's read through. This is perfect documentation for that IEP goal.
At the end of the day, one integrated reading passage can cover 3 goals. Talk about a one-stop shop. Mm-hmm. So, of course, let's switch gears, though. We don't want to just focus on reading and see how applied mathematics supports IEP goals. So here is a sample goal for applied mathematics. By the end of the IEP period, the student will solve word problems by adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators with 80% accuracy on 4 out of 5 trials. So once again, you're going to use our standards document, which are located at help.classworks.com. And this is going to help assist you in finding a problem to match that IEP goal. What you see here is the standard associated with each of our differentiated math problems, and if there's a secondary standard and a prerequisite, as well as a Khan Academy video. So once I find the perfect passage, the applied mathematics is a as a problem set based on one standard and scenario. Each activity is differentiated and increases with complexity as students work through each problem. Applied math is perfect for aligning directly to that identified skill, and you can track student progress as they work through higher order thinking processes. And the IEP goal is documented as students work through each problem and activity. You can actually monitor this student's work in real time in both integrated reading and applied math. And then you can also run reports as well, like the assignments result report that I showed you earlier with custom instruction. So either work great for documentation, and both can be done within the Classes tab.
That's great. Okay. The last place for skill-specific goals is your student's individualized learning path. This is probably something you're most comfortable with in Classworks. Students are assigned skill-specific units that they are ready to learn based on their assessment data. Let's look at the sample goal for using individualized learning paths. By the end of the IEP period, the student will master within the geometry domain at 80% mastery on the 3rd grade level.
And so for this IEP goal, we're actually going to start by analyzing the progress monitoring report to drive our skill goal. So here I've run this report, and down on the second page, we have the cumulative item response section. And we can use this to actually look for an area where Connie needs to grow within a specific domain. So looking specifically at hers, we see that she needs more support in geometry. Then you can track skill specifics in the student's ILP. So let's see what that looks like here with the student's math goal. So I'm going back to Classworks, and here I have our individualized learning path pulled up. And over on the right, we have skill domains. So I'm going to search and filter by geometry. And now I can see specifically how she's succeeding in this skill. Additionally, you can print this report, which can be used for documentation.
Yeah, that's great, Jordan. Okay, well, you have just learned 4 different ways to assign and track skill-specific goals directly in Classworks. To recap, we covered custom instruction, integrated reading, applied mathematics, and individualized learning paths. Now, if for some reason you're unsure on how to use any of these components of Classworks, remember that you can sign up for free Classworks Connect sessions. You can access our Smart Guide courses, or you can even hit the blue chat feature in the Classworks platform for additional support. Because I know we've covered a lot, but we want to make sure that you feel comfortable and you know you have that support.
Absolutely, Patty. We always want y'all to know where to go for help. So, and we promise y'all, when we say streamlined, we really do mean it. So now we feel like it's a perfect time to take what you know and start aligning some instruction to specific IEP goals. So Simone is going to put a virtual handout in chat. So once you have access to that, please open and launch it. And what we're going to do is we are going to break you all out into breakout rooms, and you're going to look at specific goals and where to go for that source as well. So here we can see breakout room 1 has the comprehension goal, and you're going to look for instruction and integrated reading, right? So here's that sample goal right here in the middle. So you're going to utilize your Classworks district website and search for the various resources for that goal, right? So whether that be the writing goal is for integrated reading in breakout room 2, or mathematics goal, grade 2, and applied math. So looking at custom instruction, integrated reading, applied math, and ILPs to align instruction. And you may even want to think about a student example that you have, right? And utilize, think about how you could align instruction to that specific student. So Classworks folks are in this session, and so they'll be in your breakout rooms as well if you need any additional support. But yeah, use this there. So once again, we're going to put you all in breakout rooms, and then you're going to look at what breakout room you are in and your associated goal, and then work on finding some instruction to align to your IEP example. All right, we're going to work for about 6 minutes, and we'll regroup and share out what y'all came up with.
That's the magic that kind of happens. You're in a breakout room. We were in the middle of a conversation and we magically were pulled back in. So, but hey, I know in our breakout room, we had some great conversation. And I'm sure you did in yours. Does anybody want to share out what you were talking about? Because Judy, if everybody's quiet, I'm calling on our breakout room. So you just kind of be ready. But anybody else have anything they want to share? You can unmute yourself, please, and feel free to chat with us. Or throw it in the chat if you'd feel more comfortable. Chat away what you want. Judy, do you want to unmute yourself? Because I really think in ours, and we were talking with Jessica, and I really feel like a lot of what she was expressing is something that a lot of our special ed teachers see, where they've got to have that goal, the IEP goal on their grade level, but yet they know it's not really meeting their needs. So
Right.
I know Judy, you were talking to
And
her
Jessica's,
about that.
she's got a class of kids, so she's was like multitasking with us, which is I'm sure everyone in this session can relate to. But what we were talking about is that she has to have an on grade level standard related goal for her students, and then trying to find the evidence to support that, right? So we were in custom instruction and realized really what would support her better is the integrated reading passage, because what that student needs is additional support. So they can actually have it read aloud to them, because the standard is talking about finding that comprehending and finding that textual evidence. And so the reading part, really, it's okay, let it be read aloud, because that's what they need to focus on, is the actual comprehension side and digging into the passage and finding the evidence. And if it's read aloud to them, then they have that additional support, so that you're just really focusing on whether the student is comprehending or not, right? And being able to find evidence and listen for those pieces that will answer those questions. And so she felt like that was a good alternative, and the support that she needed to be able to actually measure that, while the student might not really be proficient in reading at that grade level. It was really great.
Yeah. So that was a great conversation that we had to have in 6 minutes. And, I know Judy was talking at the end and she just had to disappear. But now, as y'all are processing this, remember, we have those Classworks Connect sessions. We'd love for you to sign up so that we could have some more detailed, personalized conversations with you. So anybody else have anything to share? I'm not trying to, keep anybody else quiet, but.
In our group, we talked about how the activities give you a percentage grade and shows that the skills, you might need to reteach. I thought Kathleen had some really great points that she made while we were talking.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else? Okay, so we're going to kind of keep going, because we have just talked about, we've thoroughly talked about that skill IEP goals, but now let's talk about some growth IEP goals. So growth tracking is essential to see how much progress your student has made throughout the year. And remember, it's essential that your data is consistent. You want to track apples to apples. So that's where our vertical scale comes into play. Our universal screener and progress monitoring are aligned on the same scale, so that you can do just that. This scale is also nationally normed and has the highest rate of reliability and validity. Our universal screener assessment measures readiness for grade level instruction. It helps identify baseline level learning, and it also measures growth. And our screener is nationally normed percentile rankings, and it's for students in grades K through 10. So what does an IEP growth goal look like using our universal screener? Here's a reading example. If you have a student, 5th grade level, is currently at the 36th percentile, 420, and the goal is to increase to 90th percentile, 500, by the end of the year. So once a student takes the screener, you're able to see the student's scaled score, his or her percentile ranking, his and her progress monitoring level. And so all of these data points are a great way to base an IEP goal around. For example, the scaled score and percentile ranking would be monitored for growth. And we can see here on this Universal Screener RTI recommendations report.
Yeah, that really is a great report to be able to continually monitor growth throughout the year. And the next option for growth goals is progress monitoring. Progress monitoring is an effective way to monitor a child's response to intervention. Students are assigned weekly CBM probes that track the overall grade level readiness on their identified curriculum-based measurement. These probes are short quizzes based on a curriculum sampling of that identified grade. So once a student begins progress monitoring, Classworks automatically tracks each data point and calculates the student's rate of improvement. So let's take a deeper look at progress monitoring with Classworks. Our scale matches the Universal Screener, again, which this allows you to track progress of Tier 2 students, for example, to the whole student population, and it's nationally normed percentile rank.
And then Jordan, also the progress monitoring results automatically inform the student learning path on the learning progression, which means that the progress monitoring data and the intervention units that are automatically assigned are very tightly coupled, exactly where the student is ready to learn.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And because of that, you have skill-specific reporting each week, right? That cumulative item response that we worked with earlier. So we always hear that the school psychologists love tracking the rate of improvement, and then teachers love the ability to track students' progress by those specific skills each week by week for their interventions. Here's a sample IEP growth goal that you can cover with our progress monitoring. Student shows growth from beginning second grade level 290 to beginning third grade level 330 by the end of 12 weeks, as determined by the progress monitoring trend line. So let's pull up Connie's progress monitoring report. And what we see here is that we can see each data point tracked that Connie's score each week with these black dots here, okay, automatically tracked. And then we see this bright green line, which is our target rate of improvement. This is where we want Connie to be. And this blue line is actually the student's rate of improvement, right? So, and on the right side, we can see that this progress monitoring report utilizes the grade level scale. Connie is on track to meet her goal, which is really great to see. So again, the goal here may be that the student grows from a lower second grade performance level to the beginning of third grade level by the end of the 12 weeks. And then you can print this report and use for documentation. And thinking through this, you may want to be asking yourself, is this the growth goal you want for your students, right? And know that progress monitoring will automatically continue for 12 weeks.
Okay, so we've just learned about the various ways to document and track growth goals with Classworks, either using progress monitoring and the Universal Screener. So, time for another breakout room. For this part of the workshop, we'll be getting back into those breakout rooms where we're going to analyze various growth reports. Simone is putting the virtual handout in the chat, and the goal is to think through what growth goal can you set using this data that you see on this document. Identify the growth you want your student to make by analyzing that information. And although you're going to see different reports depending on which breakout room you're in, I really want to highlight Group 4. They will be using a screenshot from our live data dashboard from the individualized learning path for this student. Remember, you can still print this feature out. And so this is a very helpful way that you can document and look at student growth. Okay, so now for the breakout rooms. We're going to meet again for 6 minutes. And then when you come back, please be ready to share out and tell us what you talked about. If there's no questions, Simone will put us in breakout rooms.
All right. I know that there was some great discussion happening within your breakout group, so I'd love to hear what y'all discussed. So feel free to unmute or put in chat.
I think it'd be great if Patty talked about our question that came up. It might be a preface for some other things you have, but about the just about motivating students when they're taking the screener, because if you're trying to track a growth goal, then you really need an accurate portrayal of the score. So Patty, do you want to kind of jump in on that?
We have really enjoyed getting to know Jessica from Louisiana. And so I feel like Jessica speaks for a lot of special ed teachers. Like Judy said in the first part, she still has a class and she's trying to watch our webinar. But one thing that she talked about is trying to motivate, and she's got middle schoolers, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And so one of the things that I was explaining to her when we were cut off is, we have some great videos in our Classworks.com in our help library on introducing students to Classworks and making sure that they understand the why behind why they're doing it. Because what happens if you have an 8th grader and he just runs through everything, all of a sudden, all of his assignments are going to probably be at the kindergarten level, which will be very frustrating. So, introducing that. And then also we talked about how much time the students should spend. And we were talking about 30 to 45 minutes per subject per week. And that's working on that individualized learning plan.
And Patty, in our session, we talked about a little bit the same thing because our student was so low. We talked about increasing that intervention time. Once we decided what our target growth was, really trying to match how much time they could spend in the intervention to that goal, because our goal had to be so aggressive because of Georgia's results. So that's kind of the same thing came up in our breakout room too.
That's great. Thank you, Melissa.
That's excellent.
We had one. Yeah, we had a question from Miss Kathleen Johnson in our breakout room, and she wanted to know, we were looking at the report that had the screener scores on there, and she wanted to know about the alignment to NWEA and how, closely does it align, or does it align because her district is using that as comparative data, if that makes sense, like comparing to each other, if you want to address that.
We were in breakout room 4 looking at the annual growth report, FYI.
Yep, thanks, Kelly. Yep.
Yeah. So actually, Classworks is a validated screener and it's validated against NWA scores. So we're matched very closely with NWA. That's, yeah.
Great.
They also mentioned, because I was curious if you actually will bring these scores and use them as goal setting for the students. And they said, they were talking about how it depends, but a lot of time seeing, kind of showing the student what kind of growth they're looking at, like, for example, needing that, 20-point growth between the fall and winter or fall and spring is actually really nice for the students to see, because they don't really see and, compute the growth as a whole that, the teachers and we're looking for. And they said it can actually help click with the students to understand what is being, wanted by them, from them.
And to celebrate, even though they didn't hit target, that you're still seeing that growth, right, for the students. Because I think that's something else that's that can be frustrating with special education students, is they always feel like they're behind. They're always not cutting it, and this really says, okay, look, but you're growing, look, and something to celebrate. Absolutely. Right. Whether they're not quite on target or not, but look, it's about their own personal growth and trying to really gear it toward that. I love that.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Really great.
Wow. Some great conversation, Jordan.
Yeah. See, I knew it was happening. That's awesome. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for sharing out. We really appreciate it. And so really this is wrapping up our session today. Thank you all so much for joining. We really hope you enjoyed this session and got some concrete ideas going forward. If you missed any bits and pieces of this will be going on again this afternoon, 3:30 EST, 2:30 CST. So if you all do need to catch that, maybe you'll not have students later, we will be here. If you all have any questions, please feel free to put those in chat now. As you're typing and thinking through those, though, Simone is going to give you all a couple of announcements.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Jordan. So we are kicking off our All-Star contest. We're super excited about it. And the top 500 students with the highest time on task are going to win. So you want to make sure to head on over to classworks.com/contest for more information. And I will also pop that in the chat in a moment for you so you can get there easily. And as a reminder, we have so many great sessions happening. So our agenda is going to be on the screen in just a second. And so you can see the rest of our fall summit. These sessions are going to go into deeper dives about specific features of Classworks that are really designed to make your life as easier as possible and maximize your students' growth. These are our 30-minute sessions, unless noted as 45-minute workshops. So you can see the rest of our schedule there. We hope to see you at our remaining sessions. And I'll pass it back on over to you all for any questions. Do we have any questions that we can get answered for you in the chat? Feel free to unmute yourself.
And again, this is a recorded session and will be posted exactly where you want to register. So be on the lookout for those recordings. All right.
Thank you guys so much.
Perfect. Thank y'all. Have a great day.